Welcome to reVyven, where environmental ideas come to life. At reVyven, we aim to connect, learn, and make a difference.
Just before we start, just for you to know, it could be that the conversation gets more critical in sense of my feelings of how things go in the environmental thing. If you don't want that, I can be very positive as well. But just that you know that the development of what we've seen in the last couple of years is rather negative than positive. But I don't know, if you say no, we want to be very positive out front, I can adapt.
That's kind of like why we started this. Because yes, there's a lot of negative, but then there's definitely a lot of positive, and there's a lot of people doing positive things, and you guys are doing positive things. So it's nice to see that. And I know it's not hard to find negative stuff in the environment nowadays, but so
it's not that is my point. It's rather that the people do not ask for. So I don't sell more beer because I do 1% for the planet. We do it because we are convinced that even if you are a small company, you need to do something. But this is of very low interest. Overall. So. Compared to 4 years ago, during Corona, it was a huge thing. But now in the last 2 years, we feel like this is not of an interest.
The environment or wow.
Yeah. This is the feedback we get. So how people come to us, they love our videos, they love the place, they love Far Bar. But we continuously see the cleanup day gets less and less popular. People are not very interested in that.
So there's a disengagement.
People are not really. I mean, when I see the statistics on social media. So environmental content is from way less interest than entertainment. That was always like this, but all the interest about growing our own ingredients, what we do with our Swiss Pale Ale, is from very low interest. It's even in the business side. People see the price and see, it's not that important. I don't care where it comes from, but the price is important. So,
but they're coming at it from a price perspective and not from a, let's say, a value.
It has a
or
lot
why
to do
you're
with
doing
the market and with the crisis we are in. People watch after the money they have, and they look the value on money. And in Switzerland, what I feel and where I'm also a bit frustrated, but I think it's going to change again. But this is a lot. What we put a lot of effort into the environmental topic. And for us, it's just hard to put resources and money in it when there is no interest. And that's where we are at the moment. That's why I want to talk to you out front. Do you want to have that? I think it's very interesting.
I do too,
But it's not, let's be all...
Right, it's not so positive.
Together and we're going to do this.
But I think it does contextualize the bigger picture, right? And I think that's totally fine.
Totally.
So,
well, it's being honest, and something that we're trying to do is also to have a shift and an awareness that maybe people don't have. I know we working with Nikken, and they plant a tree for every
fashion store?
For every piece of clothing sold. But we were talking to their head of sales, and she said for some people selling, it's like the price point's too high. And so it's kind of the same point. And she said, but we're paying people properly to make the clothing, and we're using, organic cotton, and we're sourcing fairly, and we understand the supply chain. And so I think this is a common theme in this area. It's something that we're noticing.
I mean, a part of me thinks that there's so much evolution taking place in the environment, like in the energy sector or in the, automotive industry or like whatever it is. There's this shift that has to take place, and there needs to be funding to make that shift happen. So, cost is going to be a discussion point all the time. And I think that's going to be something that, there's going to have to be money spent to be better later. And right now, there's just not enough momentum to really, catalyze it in the positive direction. So we're kind of hoping that, maybe there's going to be something that happens.
Something is going to come, and stuff is going to happen, and we hope that somehow it's going to be good. I think it's everything comes and goes. So
Yeah.
I really believe in these phases
Yeah.
we are in. There are trends, and then they get down and it comes up again. But all the environmental topic, I can just talk from locally here or a little bit nationwide Switzerland. It gets way less important. Also in the social discussions, what I hear when I talk in my community, it's at the moment it's a lot. Of course, there's a war. People are worried about and how to spend the money where, or what is more secure. So I think it's quite natural that this has not a lot of space where people are going to put the money in. But we all know that the problem stays the same. It gets even worse if we do not act now. But we see it. I mean, what's very frustrating during COVID, nobody was flying. Flying was not allowed. And now, paf, everybody's in plane again. And this is where the frustration comes from, because we all know humans are like kids. So as long everything's fine now, cool.
Yeah.
What's in 2 years? It's in 2 years, but not now. I
can.
fly to Morocco for $250. Yeah, this is what we feel with the products. I mean, this was really a release to push that forward. Of course, we are a very small company and we can't change the world. But with other companies together, we could like have that little bubble and push a little bit and give something to that idea. But I hear from a lot of partners we work with that, hey, at the moment we are not gonna spend a lot of time with this, because also we have to watch to our budget. And if I can make more money opening a bar, that's better than pushing local barley here around, which costs a lot of money and has a lot of risk. Yeah, this is overall, as a small business, this is what you get back as a feedback, and you feel it directly. So we already began.
Maybe you hit go. Let's hit go.
No, I actually did hit go. So it's.
Okay. Oh, cool.
This is maybe the pre-discussion, but
okay. But yeah, just that for me, it's just important. Do you want that in the discussion, or shall I leave it away?
I think it's important, Daniel. Honestly, I think
okay.
it's being honest, and I think we try to always be transparent. And I think it's important. And I don't think you're the only person experiencing this, and certainly you're in beer, but I think other sectors who are trying to leave a mark are experiencing it as well.
Or even trying something different.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, not every beer producer grows their own ingredients. So I think just thinking different and trying something new to see where you can make a benefit, I think is admirable.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Cool.
So should we officially start?
Sure. I like it more informal.
Yeah, right. Just kind of got right into it. All right. So hello and welcome. We're here in Münchenstein, Switzerland, just outside of Basel, with Daniel Gostli at the Beardl Brewery. Daniel, could you tell us a little bit about the brewery and about yourself as well?
Yes. So the Beardl Brewery began like the most small craft breweries in Switzerland and the rest of the Europe as well. So the American craft beer wave came over about 15 years ago and hit it also Switzerland, and that's where three people thought, it's a cool thing, let's do our own beer, because Switzerland suffered a lot in that beer cartel there was in Switzerland. So there were just really breweries in each area having their area, and all that culture of small breweries lived up again, which was great, and which really worked out, because I always come with the comparison, go to Coop, in a big Coop, and see how much different beers and breweries you can choose from, and compare that with the choice you had 10 years ago. I think that's a very good, how do you say, market?
It's an indicator that, that it's really
people really love good beer, they love good wine, they love good pasta whatsoever, but this is a change of consumption, if you want so. And this was not just a trend, and that's nice to see that people care about good products, especially local products. And this is how also Beardl came alive. So the those three guys were hobby brewers. They were very lucky because one of them was a chemical guy.
Okay.
So he knew what to do, what is the most important thing. And
The processing is quite important, yeah.
yeah, and that's how they grew, and they put money into a more professional brewery. And in the last 10 years, that was the development where we are now.
Okay.
On Dreispins being a professional brewery. So that's real quick, but
Okay. No, and we've seen the facility a little bit. It looks quite extensive. What's maybe the amount of beer that you brew, and maybe also tell us a little bit about the facility and how you got it.
yeah. So as I said, we started very small, and we grew in a garage. So the cliche of small company, we did that, and then we made the decision shortly before the pandemic to be a professional brewery and to invest into a professional, how do you say, equipment, and being able to produce more volume.
Okay.
And that's when we invested into a bigger brewery, and we changed site. We went from Gundele to Dreispitz to have a bigger hall, and we ordered a bigger machine and tanks and everything you need to be able to produce bigger volumes. Then Corona hit. We all know the story. It was very hard to survive, but somehow we did it. We have a very great board. So we are, how do you say, Aktiengesellschaft?
Oh, okay. The AG.
AG, yeah. And so we have not a lot, but very good shareholders supporting us through thick and thin, and that's how we survived through Corona till we are here now, with the Far Bar, with having two bars, the Hafenkran now in the city, and the Far Bar here, and the brewery. Okay. So at the moment we are like, we do restaurants, so we run two bars, and we have the brewery, which helps a lot. Okay. And this is how everything got it evolved. To answer your question, we should hit about 1,000 hectoliters per year. Okay. The first time this year, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And what's behind the name Beardal?
That was a really simple story. So back then, the three guys who started to do the first beer, one of them wrote a kid's story for the school. And in that kid's story, there was a character with a big red nose and always a bit fuzzy. And his name was Beertel, and out of a joke, they called the first beer just Beertel.
Oh, cool.
And the second beer had the same name, and then suddenly people talked about Beertel, and that's how we got to Beertel.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So as a craft brew, you have different flavors and different styles. Is that like an evolving menu, or do you have like a library of certain flavors that you always make, or how does that?
No, we have a core series. We produce all year long. Okay. That's very important also for the consumer to know that, okay, I get the lager and the red ale and the alcohol free and the Swiss pale ale. I get that all year long, because now we are back at the point where we sell the most of our beer in the professional, so B2B, with restaurants, bars, and events. And they need to know that the product is available. Yeah. But of course, as a craft brewery, you want to be independent, you want to go with the trends, you want to be also a bit foolish and play with what you can do. And we always have 2 to 3 beers, seasonal beers or special beers, that are very loud, that are very interesting to try. And I mean, this is also the thing about craft beer, is the passion of being able to do something completely else with the same ingredients. So actually we work practically always with 4 ingredients, and it's not the same product if you talk about a triple New England IPA or an imperial stout or a lager beer. these are three complete different products.
But the source of the ingredients
It's
may be
always
different,
the
or the
same.
type is different, but but it's always hops, barley.
Yeah, water
Yeah,
and how do you say hefe,
Yeast.
levure,
Is it
yeast.
yeast? Yeah.
Of course, sometimes you play and you do a fruity thing. So for summer, we're gonna do a hibiscus lime sour beer, which is gonna be a pink beer with
Oh, wow.
hibiscus and lime
Okay.
Oh, nice.
in it. It's gonna be a very refreshing spring beer, and,
Okay.
and there we use, of course, the lime
Try
and the
that.
Yeah.
hibiscus. Yeah, it's at the tank now. Yeah.
Nice.
Just got brewed last week. Yeah.
But we also see the labels are quite artistic.
Mhm.
Is there somebody on the team that's the artist on the team, or who?
Yeah,
how do you
that's me.
How do you develop
Ah,
those?
nice.
Yeah, I do all the marketing. I do all the graphics on my own. This is I fell into it as I fell into the brewery. I come from marketing,
Mhm.
but I never did graphic design.
Okay.
But as I came from marketing, I knew what graphic design costs.
Okay.
And my sister, being a professional graphic designer, I knew that this would be very expensive, and we don't have the money, the budget for it. So I got into YouTube. I downloaded Illustrator and began to do the own graphics. And now, 7 years later, I wouldn't say I'm a graphic designer, but I love it. It's something I really enjoy doing. It's playful.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't like it," or I want it differently. This is really something I do. I say, I do it. I decide this is how it's gonna look.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it has a line in it, because there are not a lot of cooks around that wanna,
Or opinions, or
Yeah.
like okay.
Yeah, this seems to be a trend that we see with the people we meet, is that typically their backgrounds had nothing to do with what they're doing, but they learn everything by doing and hands-on and having an interest or
Just getting it done. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
a passion for it, and then figuring it out as they do it, which is
I mean,
really nice.
when you're really small, you have no budget.
Exactly.
So
you
need
wear
to
many
be
hats, right?
Yeah, you have to know how to solve the problems, and then you discover stuff. On the other hand, I'm really bad at numbers. I'm really bad in budgeting, and therefore I need support.
Sure.
But there also I founded one and two great guys. I mean, one is my partner, is Christian, which he's great in numbers and has a lot of experience, and I'm not talking a lot what he's doing because I do not really understand it.
Yeah.
But this gives a sort of a freedom and a structure.
Yeah. And it balances it out between your skills and his skills and everyone
Yeah,
else's
yeah.
skills. So I think it's perfect.
Which does not mean that you can just do what you love. Everybody needs to do what needs to be done. But it's always great when you can push your skills to the side where they're needed.
Totally. Yeah.
But label design, this is really something I do in my free time, so I don't even get paid for it. So.
Well, they look great.
Thank
and
you.
they're super
Yeah.
creative, so
Thank you.
we
No,
can appreciate that.
I also noticed on the label the 1% for the planet.
Mhm.
And I know we had talked a little bit about that before, so maybe you can just highlight why you're dedicated to 1% for the planet, and maybe how it got started in Switzerland.
Yeah. As I said, I come from marketing, so I started my career in sales for an outdoor supplier, Transa, here in Basel. And I did my apprenticeship there, and then I did a marketing school, and I was able to go to the head office to Zurich, and then I was there for about 8 or 10 years. I worked in marketing as an event and brand manager in Zurich. And then I had, of course, working in an outdoor environment, I had to do with all those big brands like Fjällräven, Mammut, you name it, and of course with Patagonia. And I was, since I started my apprenticeship, so where were we?
1% for the planet.
You were
and
working at Transit?
Yeah. Right. And I was, as a teenager, I was a big fan of Patagonia. I still am. I got very inspired around Yvon Chouinard and what he did with his huge company, and being one of the very few companies being very successful, environmentally active company, but still growing and making money, which is a huge challenge. Of course, we are in a capitalistic world, so money rules the world. That's the rule. But he somehow made it to have that kind of bubble around Patagonia, being very active and changing a lot, and that inspired me. And so I had a lot of contact also with Patagonia during Transa. I made 2 outdoor festivals in Laax. These were big festivals, and there I partnered up with Patagonia as well. Yeah, that's how I got to 1% for the Planet, because this was a side project from Yvon Chouinard to release that non-profit organization. And this is how we got into 1% for the Planet. Yeah.
Okay. And it is not quite taking hold in Switzerland, or how's the evolution of 1%?
Yeah, it's still very American.
Yeah.
And as Europeans, even especially as Swiss people, you really feel that. I think it's a non-profit organization which is still developing a lot and is growing also in Europe. But we feel, I mean, it's the 5th or the 6th year with our member of 1% for the Planet. We feel it's growing quite small in Europe, and of course we understand it's easier as an American company or organization to start first in a more Americanish country like France, which is very American orientated. In Switzerland and Germany you don't feel it yet. A lot. There are companies being member of 1%. I think it's over 100 small companies, and this is growing. But what we miss is the community around it, which is in America. This is a huge value.
Do you think this is a cultural difference?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. It's rather that you have a lot of possibilities in Switzerland or in Europe anyways. If you want to do something for the environment, or you're searching for a community, then it's I think then it's less hard to go into a European community where you don't have that cultural difference.
Okay.
But yeah, still, why we went in there is because I really love the idea behind 1% for the Planet, and also in real life, it's really uncomplicated, and it's secure and direct, and it works really well. So we do not plan to change that, because the idea is behind you choose a non-profit organization, the one you want, and important for us was not to put our money. Of course, in the end, it doesn't matter. But for us, it was important to have something local, and our topic, being a brewery, is the water. If you like to talk about it or not, but all breweries or all businesses are gonna have a huge problem with water in the next 10 to 20 years. We are a very water secure country, Switzerland, but we already see this is coming. And brewery needs a lot of water, and the quality of the water is really important. And that's why we teamed up with Summit Foundation. So having a small Swiss non-profit organization, because they're specialized in, how do you say that in English? Littering.
Like trash and people throwing trash.
That's why we do the cleanup day. For us, it's more a sensibilization that people know we need to take care of our water. We still have enough, but this will change. We see how the glaciers are disappearing, and then it's the question, where does the water come from? Especially in high summer, where we brew a lot of beer. So this is gonna be it's going to be a challenge.
And that's how we met you, was we volunteered for the Summit Foundation Cleanup Day in Gempen.
Some years ago.
And then 2 years ago maybe. And then we worked with you last year locally in Basel to do a cleanup day. We also work with them in the Alps because, I mean, where you spend a lot of time in the mountains. So for us, it's really important to keep those spaces clean and litter-free. But yeah, we totally commend you for the work that you're doing and the work that they're doing, because it's really essential. And I think the focal point on water is really important, especially today. And
I mean, you've been with us when we were in Gempen.
Yes.
And people say, well, it's a luxury thing doing a cleanup day. It's so clean in Switzerland, and then you suddenly realize, no. And each time we found chemicals and medical bags, waste in the water, in the forest, and we still have that challenge as well. Of course,
which is kind of surprising, because on the surface everything looks nice and clean and orderly, but when you start going through the woods, or even on some of the ski areas and stuff in the spring and summer, it's actually unbelievable how much when you sweep an area with a group of people, how much waste you actually find. It's a bit eye-opening.
Still, a lot changed for the better. I mean, I grew up on the countryside, having a big farm. My parents and grandparents had a huge farm. And back in the days, it was no question what you do with the trash. You just burn it. You burn the tires, you put all the plastic and whatever you have, the waste, you fire it up and burn it. I really remember my grandpa doing this, and it was legal.
Yeah.
And in our area, there was a dumping site in the middle of the forest.
Wow.
And when they closed, they just covered it.
Yeah.
That's it. And they dig everything out, I think just recently, 8 or 10 years ago.
Wow.
So I think a lot changed for the better. But we still found a lot of... I mean, we found a huge dumping site 3 years ago in the forest, where really still people come with a car, open the car and put everything in the forest, and then just leave. So you have that.
And we always have our kids participate in those days intentionally, because we want them to stay till the end to see how much trash is actually pulled out of bags, and then you weigh it with the Summit Foundation. And to us, that is such a representation of not only that it matters to clean up these spaces, but how much trash actually is in the natural world. So it's really impactful.
And then trash that does not go away. We're talking about plastic,
Exactly.
microplastic. This is, in the end, you keep on not seeing it anymore. There's so much. What did they say? You end up eating a credit card, a week?
A week or a day, yes.
I mean,
it's already too much.
It's way too much.
Yeah, we live in a very plastic-based world.
Yeah. No, I'm also glad you touched on the water aspect, because I guess any beverage company goes through so much water in order to do what they do. And I read an article recently in Germany, in Spalt, Germany, where they grow hops, and the environmental impact and the weather is causing a detriment to the hops production. So ingredients that are a mainstay of beer is becoming harder and harder to grow consistently. And in that area where there's a specific type of beer, the Spalt hops beer, is at risk of never being able to be made again, because...
Absolutely. I mean, beer will change in the next 20 years completely.
Yeah.
And hops are going to be very expensive, or they're just not going to be here anymore. Hops need a lot of water. Hops grow really high. Yeah. So if you have a storm coming, you have a huge problem. You can't protect it. And we see that we have more and more storms, even here in the Basel area, more intense storms. And I mean, hops growing 8 meters and having those huge fields, it's like a sail in the wind. This is all gonna break, and it's too expensive. So already now we're thinking of with what we're gonna replace hops.
We read about that.
Yeah, we just read about hemp.
And hemp is gonna be the new hop in the next 20 years. That I'm sure of.
Yeah, they said it's very happy to grow in Switzerland, and it grows like a weed.
So very hardy.
I mean, it's the same family, hops and hemp.
Yeah, and it is, like Rob was saying, it's very hardy, and it has the ability to come back, even if it's been there. We were reading an article about a storm, anyway, it came back. So it seems like it's a very robust plant, and that had a really bad rap. But now it's coming back because it's so durable.
Well, also in the textile industry, hemp is
Exactly.
going to push forward a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's that durable. durable plant.
So maybe beer gets the buds and the
textiles
textile gets the stalk, or what?
Yeah, maybe. But this is the hop side of the future, but the water side is still very hard. What are you going to replace water with?
Yeah. Do you have any, how do you manage your water? I've read somewhere that beer typically takes around 2 liters for every liter of beer.
Yeah, even more.
Okay.
And that's a good brewery doing 2 liter or one.
Yeah, that's probably very...
Very good.
Is there, I guess, any work being done that you know of in terms of recapturing the water and reusing it, either for the growing or for other aspects, and reusing the water because you need it for sterilization, but then you need it for the beer itself?
Yeah, things are going forward, and we see in the industry that the right questions are being asked. We are also already thinking of building a new brewery in the next couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Well, just as a concept. But this is one of the biggest challenges is energy and water, of course. But yeah, we already begin to... It's not recycling water, but to use water more wisely and try to use less. You can do a lot in the cleaning procedures. So the reason why producing beer needs that much water is that you need a lot of water to clean all the stuff. And a brewer always say my main job is to clean. I do 80% of cleaning and 20% of brewing. So we need a lot of water for cleaning.
Okay.
And there you can adapt by using the better chemicals, less chemicals, but also less water. But you're always going to need a lot of water for that.
Have you experimented with hemp at all?
Here in our brewery, not yet. No, we are planning to do so end of the year to have our first hemp beer. But we've tried it with another brewery in another context, and it is very, very interesting. But it's not the same, of course. We're gonna have to adapt to it, and it's not gonna come that fast.
No.
So we still buy a lot of special hops from New Zealand and America, and all the bitter hops come actually from Germany.
From Bavaria?
Yeah, most of it.
Do you want to talk about sourcing, like where you get your ingredients from? I know you had mentioned before that do you have hops growing on Rudy Hard?
No, barley.
Barley, okay.
Yeah.
But the Swiss hops, that's Schaffhausen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I stumbled into this brewery by accident. It was never the plan to be a CEO of a small brewery. But it happened, and I'm happy about it. I really love it. But again, coming from an outdoor market and being involved in the brewery, I thought, well, it's nice to produce a local beer, but it would be much nicer to produce a local beer with local ingredients. And would a beer need ananas? Everybody would agree. Oh, it's getting complicated if you need a pineapple or a mango to grow that here in Switzerland. But hops and barley grow really well here in Switzerland, and so I put the question, well, it doesn't make any sense. We are a beer nation. We consume way more beer than wine still, and why don't we grow our own ingredients? It would make total sense. And there I was really, we say greenhorn.
Or naive?
I was really naive, thinking of, no problem. I go to a farmer, we put barley into the ground, we grow our barley, we grow our hops. There I knew hops are complicated to grow.
We have the official Beardle Beer mascot. Your dog is Chewy.
Yeah.
He's in the office with us today, so you might hear some ambient dog noise in the background.
That was a bad idea to call him Chewy.
He chews
really
everything.
No, hops, I knew that's a very intense plant. And there are very few hop farmers in Switzerland. Actually, there are just 3 or 4 really small hop farmers. And there's one family doing this in the 3rd or even 4th generation.
Okay.
But just on a couple of hectares, so really not big. So I went to them for the hops because you need the infrastructure. Of course, when you know that hops growing 8 meters high, you need to build that field with huge poles
and have the infrastructure as well.
You need
to support,
special machines, special drying facility, etc. So therefore, we went there and we want to grow our own aroma hops, which do not exist in Switzerland.
Oh.
And that was uncomplicated. The same thing they say all year is, well, we love hops, we do the hops, but it's always the same thing. August, all the storms are coming, and maybe all the harvest is just going to be flat on the ground. And then you have 0.
So you could grow all year and get nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So hail is a huge issue, and storm, so big winds. And they had, I think, 2 years in the past 10 years having nothing.
Wow.
So this is the risk they take. But there we partner up with them. They plant our hops and more or less take care of it. And end of the year we pass there, and we take our hop home. With the barley, I just need to see what he said.
Sure.
With the barley, it was, I thought, way more simpler because it's like Weizen. How do you say?
Oh, okay.
Wheat,
yeah.
Wheat, or we grow a lot of Cornish plants here around in the area, and I went to the first farmer who said, "Yeah, no problem. I have a field left. I don't use it this summer. We can put whatever you want," and we did that. And after the first period when it's grown, we saw that the soil had way too much protein. And this comes from Düngemittel, fertilizer.
Yeah, fertilizer.
Oh.
Yeah, so it
Like chemical fertilizers.
way too much in the soil, so we couldn't use any of it. So everything went to the cows. They were happy, but it was not. You couldn't do beer with it. So then that's why I said we were very naive. Then we knew, maybe we need to think of the soil first and where to place that plant. And we found a farmer in Muttens, which is a bio farmer, and he's not using the fertilizers.
But that's only like 10 kilometers, not even.
Yeah. They have the very nice shop, the Kürbislade and Saftlade.
Oh, yeah.
They have their... it's if you love vegetables, it's the perfect shop.
It's a nice place.
It's so
very
nice.
So they take care a lot of the environment because they are dependent of it. Not to say that the farmer in Rheinach wasn't, but we didn't have the experience there. So I went to him, and he said, "Yeah, sure, I would love to do that and give it a try." And we have a field in Muttens, and we just put the barley, we call it Braugerste, so it's a special barley for the beer. We put that in the ground, and that was the year, what was that, 2020, 21? A very rainy summer. So it was all, verschimmelt?
Yeah, it was
so the
rotted
roots,
or
the roots were all rotten.
Yeah.
So again, it was all for the cows. Yeah, and then we were a bit desperate, but we thought, let's give it a try, because the hops are gonna come. The hops need about 3 seasons to grow full.
Okay.
Oh.
And we knew the hops are gonna come in the 3rd year, so let's try it another year. But then we took a winter barley, not a summer barley, so we let it grow the winter through, which works. And then we were successful after 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how our Swiss Pale Ale come to life, where we had our local beer with their own local ingredients. But this is a story we put it also on our website to follow a little bit the story. When you have a nice idea, you think something makes total sense, but actually you do not know the business. You do not know the core of of what you have to do with, and then you pay a lot Not just money and time, but also a lot of emotions in it.
Yeah.
But I also always say naivety is a very important thing, because you wouldn't start anything if you would knew.
If you really knew
what is going to come.
It's so true.
That's why even to my kid I said, it's a good thing.
It is.
To have a great idea about something, but keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn.
That's where you learn.
Yeah, and that's where I think the growth takes place. It's something we talk about a lot, that a lot of the endeavors we've embarked on, we had no idea what we were doing or how to do it or what it meant. And I'm glad you said the emotional part of it, because I think as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of growth and learning, and what can we adjust, what doesn't work. But I always love the story of it worked. Right? Because in my mind, when you're doing the right thing, of course it's supposed to work. It has to work. You're trying so hard.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I think that's so nice.
Talking about that product, it worked, and we are very happy. I mean, we have obviously a great brewer here. He knows how to handle. It's a complete other barley we have and other hops. So it's not, you don't have the same ingredients to work with. But of course, it's a very expensive beer. And this is something, during the pandemic, we felt that the story was very inspiring other people. And we even had restaurants and B2B companies cheering up and supporting us, or even giving us positive feedbacks. What we are doing is great. But of course, the downside of it is it's an expensive product. You cannot compare with a mass product. Even in craft beer, a normal style lager beer with German barley in it and German hops or whatsoever is way cheaper to produce. That's logic. But what we feel now is that this is a very low interest at the moment. So all these stories we try to push forward, knowing that we are not going to change the world, but trying to take part, to sensibilisieren, how do you say
to be
sensitize.
sensible, but also to tell the stories to others, that they recognize, oh, beer is not just another product, because it's also full of nature. And actually it's 100% nature. And oh yeah, maybe it makes sense to think about, when I drink a beer, where does the ingredients come from? Did you ever think about that?
Or will people care about climate change when the beer's affected, or it's
Because
10 times the price because you can't get hops? Or
or
something.
you
This
can't
is
get the
going to
water.
happen. This is going to happen. I love that people think about, okay, where does the meat come from? Where come my vegetables from? Whatsoever. Like with a lot of other products, the beer is the exact same thing.
Yes.
And I always thought this is very important. And at the moment, we feel the contrary, that people care less about it. I think that's due the crisis and the topics we have in Europe with the war and etc. That people have another focus. But we hope, or no, we don't hope, but we think this is going to change again.
Yeah. It's certainly our hope that it does swing back, because like you said, I think once people start to become aware of where everything is sourced from, whether that's the clothes we wear, the food we eat, the animals we're consuming, the beer we're drinking, I think you have a deeper appreciation for it. I mean, every time you probably drink one of your beers, you understand the entire process. You understand how long it took to grow. You get where the water comes from. You've worked to keep the land clean. So I think that appreciation is so much deeper when you're fully ingrained in it.
Yeah, but I think it's also really important to be honest.
Yeah.
With myself and with the company. So growing the local products was always that idea of, I'm convinced, for me as a person, I don't talk for the company now. For me as a person, a local product is still better than a bio product from somewhere else. So I'm not a big fan of bio Pangasius filet from Thailand. It doesn't make sense to me. But for people in Cope, they see the green button label and think, oh, this is healthy and it's good for the planet. But it's not. It's a lie. That's how I see it. A bio label, a local bio label, I mean, that's the best of the best you can have. That's what we don't kindish don't want because it restricts us a lot in the
Even more than
yeah. But I really think it's really important to shop and buy local products. You don't always can. Buying a Swiss car is going to be hard. But local does not mean nationally. And actually, barley and hops come just next door here in Switzerland. If we buy the barley from Germany, it comes from Munich. It comes from Bavaria.
yeah. It's
I mean, this is local.
few hundred kilometers. Right?
This is very local.
Yes.
And this makes totally sense. Of course, for our very trendy beers, we need aroma hops from America or New Zealand, which do not grow in Europe. But this is also something we need to care about or to think about. This was also very frustrating yesterday. The printer was broken.
Oh.
How do you repair a printer? It's not supposed to be repaired.
A lot of things are not repairable.
You have no chance.
It's unbelievable.
I took 3 hours to open that printer to think, well, I have it just 2 years.
Yeah.
Let's repair it. Calling the supporting number, just getting, well, it's probably cheaper to buy a new one. And then, honestly, there's a replacement. No, it's too expensive. And so...
That's
This is the
disappointing.
antithesis of a circular economy.
Well, this is a good segue to waste, right? So I wanted to ask you a little bit around waste. When you brew, you have a lot of, let's say, processed ingredients, either from the filtration or the used material. There's a few companies that we found that take that waste and convert it into bread or chips and other things. This Proseed and Valais, and then Brewbee and Appenzell. They just take the waste and reprocess it or reuse it. Is there something that you do with that as well, or is there some things that you do?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's the name in English, but the main waste you have after brewing a beer is the rest of the barley, of the malt. And this has a lot of energy in it. So you can do bread, obviously, but you need to do that very quick because it turns and gets bad very quick. So we do not have anybody who would or could take that to do bread with it, but we bring it, or a farmer comes even twice a week to pick everything up.
Okay.
And we do gas with it, biogas.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is going to be burned, or it's going to be fed to pigs or cows.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is actually it makes total sense. Huge breweries have their own gas
like collection
or
and
production. Yeah.
and they run all the facility with it.
Yeah.
This
It's like
makes
the cogeneration, I think it's called.
Yeah. This makes total sense. Yeah.
Is there a certain scale where that becomes possible, or
You need a lot.
okay?
Yeah, you really need a lot.
And it probably has to run all the time, right?
Yes. I mean, that farmer has that gas facility, and he collects all the food waste that cannot be eaten anymore. All the biomass, which turns good into gas.
Okay.
But he's doing all the northwest of Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a business.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. At least it's going somewhere that can be reused, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah, but that's actually the only thing you have. The rest is wastewater, which goes down the drain, actually. But other than that, you don't have a lot of waste.
What about your bottles, Daniel? Do you have a recycling program? Do they?
No, on glass we do not have a recycling program. That's due to two things. First, the recycling system in Switzerland is very high level. You find that probably in one or two other countries in Scandinavia or something. But I get a lot that foreign people coming to Switzerland, often what I hear is the Swiss people are crazy about recycling. I mean, you go to the dump site, it takes 20 minutes to
sort
recycle
everything
your
and
stuff.
yeah,
But I think this is part of the culture, and it works really, really well.
Yeah.
And
There's a
also
responsibility
something,
there.
something I'm proud of, and people really care in Swiss families. That's what I see in the house. You have something for the cans, something for the glass, paper, carton. Everything is sort it out.
Yeah.
That works really well.
And the compost.
And the compost.
Yeah.
And so the same with glass. So the glass finds its way in Switzerland. A lot of it to be recycled in Switzerland. Not all of it, but a lot. So what we do is our bottles are Swiss bottles. They're produced in Switzerland with Swiss glass. And that's why this makes more sense than to buy a very expensive machine, which needs a lot of energy and a lot of water and a lot of chemicals to run a recycling bottle system. Because the dark numbers on recycling bottles, like a lot with cleaning machines, is within the transportation. Because we deliver full beers, but we need to go there and pick it up and bring it back. And then it needs to be cleaned. And the cleaning cycle of bottles take a lot of resources. And that makes sense when you have a huge machine and a huge return. Like Feldschlösschen does that. I know that some breweries are finishing with it, are canceling it. So like BFM is still doing it, but I heard they're gonna stop just because it's too expensive. To run it.
Do you ever have, well, I guess in the process of creating a new sample or creating a new batch, you must brew it in a smaller environment. Have you ever brewed a completely horrible brew, or or did it go to waste? And what do you do with that? Do you just retool and continue?
No, we try. I mean, we love our products, and we try not to put anything in the drain. There is beer which you have no other option than to dump it. But we have a big tank where we put old beer in. So that can be beer that had way too much yeast or foam. That can be old beer. We do quite trendy beers, and sometimes we do a beer which people do not like. Can happen.
Sure.
And that we put into the tank, and once a year we go to a distillery and we kind of burn it down to high alcohol. And
is that the recycled gin?
Yeah, that's the recycled gin from last year.
Awesome. Okay.
And that's how we recycle the beer.
Okay.
That's so great.
It's like a re-fermentation.
Yeah. Actually, it's a pretty common thing to do because it's so simple.
Okay.
As soon as something has alcohol, you can always add more alcohol in it.
Okay.
Oh, that's really neat. Okay.
Well, then, what is the story behind the bitter?
Bitter was the same thing.
Okay.
Bitter was also fully recycled craft beer from the pandemic.
Okay.
Okay.
That was our first recycled high volumes spirit. And last year we did that. We even called it craft beer recycled gin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice present also we sold it very good for Christmas.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Well, we're kind of wrapping up. So we have a speed round. So you just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Or first question is, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book?
Yeah.
Stoner.
Okay.
So that was rapid.
Yeah, that's quick. Okay.
Do you know it?
No.
No,
Who
no.
wrote it?
John Williams.
Okay.
Stoner, such a great story.
Can you just give us a little snapshot?
Oh, it's a very lonely guy
Oh.
living a very, not a poor life, but a very, very simple life.
Yeah.
And still that story is so beautiful. I can really recommend it. But it's a story, so it's a fictional thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's
Yeah.
great. No, now we have to look at it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, didn't know
Let my
that.
people go surf, of course.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. Yes, it's so good. It's so
Definitely good. And what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur or a small business?
Learning. You learn, you keep on learning. You're always in the uncomfortable zone. So being in the comfy zone is good, but you don't learn. It can be very tiring, but learning constantly.
You're evolving into more and more learning.
It has a lot of value.
Nice. That's really nice. What's your favorite craft beer that you've created?
If you need to say a couple, that's okay too.
Okay, I love our lager, but I love the IPAs. I'm an IPA guy. Yeah.
Okay.
I love the hazy IPA and double IPA.
And the Swiss Pale Ale?
The Swiss Pale Ale as well, but it's more on the bitter end, and I like it on the sweet end.
Okay, nice. What advice would you give somebody just starting a business or pursuing a dream?
Don't give up too quickly. It's gonna be hard. And it keeps on being hard, but I think it's important to embrace it and keep on going.
Yeah. And when people consume beer and maybe they're not in an area where they can get Beardal beer, what advice would you give them when choosing a beer, and what should they consider?
Buy a local beer. I mean, it doesn't make sense to be in France and order Beardal. I mean, you can, but this is not the idea behind it. But this is also not the idea of local breweries or
and
local butchers. I mean, the beer culture is huge. And I mean, probably we need another 2 hours to talk about beer. But if you go to Belgium, you are in a beer-loving country. Germany, France, even Italy, Austria, and the North, Scandinavia is enormous.
It's everywhere.
But also in smaller scales. I mean, when you're in Wallis, in Graubünden or Zurich, there are so great small breweries doing such a great job. If you like beer, that's what what you are in search of is discovering new small breweries and testing out their product.
I got your Advent beer carton, and I thought that was really nice because you partnered with other local breweries, and so it was kind of like this variety pack of surprise of different parts of Switzerland. It was
things
fantastic
to compare. And what I love, I mean, once a month I buy other beers and I fill the fridge at home, and of course I don't like everything. But you have the comparison, and often I have something I've never heard of, and I think, oh wow, that's great, that's so refreshing, or it's not what I thought, and
pleasant surprise.
And it's fun.
It's super fun.
It's really fun to have that talk with people. Beer is a communicator. Beer is something that brings people still together. This is a part we often forget about the product, but let's go have a beer.
It's super nice.
Sounds good.
And I want to ask this because it's our staple question, because we believe so strongly in it, but do you believe that one person has the power to impart positive change?
With a lot of members, yes.
A lot of backing, yeah.
So how can people find you, and how can they organize events or try and sample?
I mean, we are shortly opening the season. I always say we are like a ski resort. Our season is the summer. We run the Fahrbar here on Dreispitz, which is like a tap room in a train with a huge terrace, and we run the Hafenkran in the city next to the Rhine.
That's the old crane loading dock.
And so these are our two bars, which are open at weekends. And the Fahrbar is more an event location. So we do a lot of events for companies. We have a lot of birthday, of weddings, etc. But if you just want to come by, Fahrbar is open end of April, all Thursday and Friday evenings, and Hafenkran from Wednesday till Saturday evening.
Okay, but it's nice because this train car is a little bit of a reflection of the building, right? So this is an old train repair facility, is that right?
Yeah, this is actually a train garage. It used to be a train garage, so that's also a nice hint. We went from a small garage to a big garage. And the Fahrbar itself is like a victim of COVID. It was planned to be racked down, to be destroyed. And it's also kind of a recycling. So the Fahrbar already existed as a bar in Mönchengladbach, and instead of putting it into the trash, we were able to move it here and put another life into it. And of course, it's a nice thing to have
it gives it a lot of nice character.
A train wagon as a bar.
It has a really nice
really
ambiance
cool.
to it. Yeah, it's super.
Yeah, and otherwise we are a brewery, so you find us in local restaurants. We have an online shop. You can order the beer, and we bring in with it within the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Nice.
And do you know when your Summit Foundation Day is in October? Do you have a date booked for that?
Yep.
Because then we can, if you want us, we can publicize it for you, and then we can let people know. And it's the same as last year, where it's meeting here and then coming back here to do the weighing and
the
separation.
19th October.
Okay.
Saturday.
So we'll publicize that for you. If you want us to, we're happy to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, very happy.
That's awesome.
Well, Daniel, thank you
Yeah,
for
that's awesome.
Thank you.
for taking the time and
It was a pleasure.
talking to us. It was really interesting. A lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to be awesome and share this podcast with your friends. Click subscribe, rate, and review. Do you have a story to tell? An organization you'd like to tell the world about? We love to hear from you and our global community. So please get in touch with us at reVyven.com. That's reVyven.com. Or send us an email at reVyven.com@gmail.com.